It is pretty rare that I finish watching a movie and it asks of me and of many people a very simple question. Now, before we begin this video, I'm going to do something very simple, very quick and easy. I'm going to put up a photo right now. Are you seeing that photo? Are you looking at that photo? Okay, just pay attention to that photo. And if you want to pause the video, go ahead and pause the video, that's fine. But pay attention to that photo. Okay, you got it? Okay, we're going to go back to that photo and I'm going to tell you that that photo itself is brilliant and has to do a lot with the movie. Now, before we get really into this, if you haven't seen the menu, I highly suggest you click out of this video, go watch it, rent it, do whatever you want to do with it, then come back and we'll talk more in depth about this movie. Okay, now that I've warned you, let's get into it. This movie is very, very detailed. And I really do mean detailed. At first, you're introduced to these very kind of different, kind of wild characters that each individual one are very different from the next. You have people who are critics, you have people who feel more or less like couples in this movie. You see people who are long-time goers of this one place that they're going to, to this dinner that they're going to. And you happen to also see other people who seem to be a little bit more sketchy, on the sketchy side of things. Now let's mind the fact that these people are very briefly introduced, not really, into detail, and you kind of have a vague understanding of who they are. So they are invited to this island where they are going to be served this incredible dinner. And what we come to find out as we are watching this is that this is a very meticulous and very detailed dinner. So detail-oriented that people start to, question certain aspects. Now, obviously, since I said that we would get into a little bit more spoilery subjects, I do have to say that this movie asks of us a very simple question. And that question being, are you paying attention? Because this movie really does ask you to pay attention to every meticulous detail that it is giving you so that it gives you a complete and satisfying experience. And it's so strange to talk about that because it's almost ironic because the movie itself tells its patrons, its followers of sorts, to actually pay attention to each meal. And it just so happens that the movie doesn't outright say this, but each individual meal is directed to each single group of people that are there. So you have a sort of meal, for example, in this movie, that you are actually receiving sort of a deconstructed taco. And on those tortillas, you have moments of people exposing themselves in a way, sort of showing their true intentions and their true, let's say, bad sides. And along with showing these intentions of these people, they are shown that, well, at least to the audience, they're shown as people who are quote-unquote pricks. So you have these bad investors, you have, a couple who the husband is cheating, you have the critic who criticized restaurants and closed them down, and these little intricate details are all things that put people, quote-unquote, on blast in this movie. And that is so well thought because it's literally opening people up. It's saying, like, listen, you guys are literally a bunch of idiots who aren't paying attention and aren't doing anything that is contributing to society in a good way. And you guys aren't paying attention. Now, obviously, I'm talking about every single person who is at that dinner, except for one person, and that is Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Margot. So we're introduced to Margot from the very beginning, and we understand that she is going on this date, sort of forced in a way. Forced to go on a date that she doesn't really want to go on, but she's going on it anyway because she was kind of hired to go. And that's where the mystery really begins with this entire movie. What connection does she have to either the chef and to anybody who's there? And ultimately, we find out that she doesn't really have a connection to anybody who is there. And that kind of throws a wrench into what's happening in this movie. And the chef himself actually says, "You weren't supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. Who are you? Who are you? Who is this person who was actually invited but not invited to this dinner?" And that kind of throws a wrench into his idea, which is to, quote unquote, kill everybody in this dinner. And that is kind of where intrigue even grows even more, because when he says kill everybody, I really didn't think that he was going to kill everybody in this movie, but if you have already watched the movie, you probably already know what happens in the end. But even then, when we see, toward the end, sort of where Margot's character goes, going into the chef's house, going into his quote-unquote bunker, and finding out the true treasures of this, art and this craft that he puts his entire life into, you start to understand that this chef doesn't want people's money or people's praise or any sort of thing like that. He doesn't want anything like that. He just wants to be remembered. He wants people to remember who he is at his core, in his heart. That's what he wants from people. And that 1 second where we see Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Margot, just looking and thinking about, what would I have to do to show my value for this person? And that is when she asks about making a cheeseburger, which completely connects to what she finds in that bunker. She saw in his face the happiness that he had creating this for people, being recognized, not with fake praise, but for doing something that is of value for somebody. And ultimately, when someone paid attention to that, and when he realized that this was the thing that he wanted from the start, from the beginning, it starts to make you wonder. Nobody at that dinner was ever paying attention to him. And that's where I think this whole experience, and now outside of the movie, allows you to question, have you been paying attention? Are you really paying attention to things around you? Life, whether it is, your friends or your family or even people at work, or really like little things and little details in your life. Are you really paying attention to those little details? And ultimately, if you are not paying attention, you should pay attention. And that is where the movie really allows you to stop and think, am I really paying attention to those little details? And if you're not, why not start now? And that's where I come to this awesome poster. And even though it's outside of the movie, I do have to say that whoever designed this poster is a genius, and I'll tell you why. When you look at this poster, first off, if you look at every single person in this poster, they are not looking at the camera. They're not looking directly at the audience. Not a single one of them. Even the critic in the back What you may think is looking directly at the camera, she's not looking at the camera. She's looking at the chef. But if you look at everybody and you start to put everything together in this photo, you start to realize that there's only first the chef and second Margot are looking directly in the camera, because those are the only two characters that are paying attention. The chef was paying attention to his work and everybody else around him, and she was paying attention to the chef and what he was trying to do. And ultimately, in the end, she gets off the island because she understood the assignment. It is the value in other people's work. Now, the second thing that I wanted to mention about that poster is that when you look at it as a whole, it is designed to evoke the Last Supper, which, by the way, it is literally what this movie is about. People's last chance to eat and to pay attention to other people's work. And my God, that is a brilliant, brilliant idea that, man, I just want to hug the guy who designed this poster, because that's brilliant. And if that wasn't the intention he was going for, dude, I'm telling you, you designed the right poster for this movie. And having said all of that, in this very humid weather we're having, because I'm all sweaty right now, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys watching this video, supporting this channel. If you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and give this video a like. Go down in the comments down below. Tell me what you thought of The Menu. I thought it was a pretty brilliant movie, but if you didn't, or if you want to have this discussion about these little details that this movie gives, go ahead, tell me in the comments below. I want to have this discussion with you guys. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell, because we have so much cool stuff coming in that, oh man, I want you guys to see. And I have a few milestone ideas coming that I really would like to share with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.